Hello, everyone. So, today I have a very special episode with a very special guest. In just a moment, you'll hear our conversation, but I wanted to propose a new introduction for my future podcast episodes because I feel a bit silly just saying, hey, podcast. Like, it's a bit vague. So, what about, like, Got a Case of Wanderlusters? Are you guys cool with that name? I just it just popped into my mind. It made sense. The name is Gotta Kiss Some Wanderlust, and to call you guys, gotta you get it. So that's the introduction. I hope I hope you guys don't mind. So yeah, we're gonna get on with the interview. All right, I'm here with. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, this is Sandipan Chandra. I'm from India, but right now I live in Budapest, in Hungary. It's a beautiful city in kind of the eastern part of Europe, but people don't like calling it the Eastern Europe here. People consider it more of a Central European country. And it has a very unique culture when it comes to it's completely different from the Western European culture, and
Mm.
it's cheaper for traveling if you are living somewhere in the United States or you're living in one of the Western European countries. It's considered to be very cheap. I don't know if you've ever traveled here. Uh,
I've never been to anywhere in Eastern Europe, but I'd love to go.
okay, so yeah, it's a very nice city, very culturally rich, I would say. And yeah, I'm enjoying my stay here. It has been only 7 months since I stayed here. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The first time I
Months. I consider that a pretty long
no,
time to travel somewhere.
not really. I was here as a tourist in 4 years back in 2018, and I really loved the experience. Uh, at Back then, I never thought that I would come back here um as a resident. I just thought that okay, this is just one time me visiting the city because Hungary. I feel that so far, I feel that it doesn't have too many cities to offer for visitors. It's just Budapest. But after moving here, I got to know that there is something called as a Lake Balaton, and there are a few more cities which are beautiful as well. But to the outside world, people only know about Budapest and nothing else. I'm pretty sure you have also heard only about Budapest.
Yeah, I have to get better at my geography
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah.
But
Yes. Go ahead.
yeah, that's so awesome. I've never talked to anyone from Hungary, so this is a first for me. What initially drew you to the city that made you spend 7 months there?
Yeah, okay. So when I visited the city as a tourist, I was actually working in Germany because of a deputation. I work in a German company. So, but it was in India that I was working for the Indian branch. And sometimes we get this opportunity to travel to Germany and the US and wherever we have branches. We have several branches all spread all across the world, so mostly we deal with Germany or European countries mostly. So I was sent on a deputation. If you know what that means, it's like a short-term assignment. So I was sent on a deputation for about 3 months to Germany, and so I don't know about the visas that you get as a U.S. citizen. I think it's 3 months you can travel anywhere in Europe without any visa, right? But for us, it's like a Schengen visa, and once you get that, you can travel to all the European Union countries and
Hmm.
the ones within the Schengen region. So that's when I covered so many countries. Like within 85 days, I almost covered 13 countries in Europe. That
Amazing.
yeah, that's something that people
That surpasses your goal of 5 countries.
yeah. So yeah, I overdid it. So I overachieved my goals because this many number of countries, I think people in their entire lifetime they don't cover that. And people living in Europe as well, they have never traveled so far like I did. So that really gave me a new motivation that I should move here at least for a few years, if not forever. um, I wanted to move here for a longer term, be it through a job or a long term assignment or whatever. And yeah, it all worked out, and I just moved here. So that was the story.
Wow. Well, first of all, congrats.
Thank
Like,
you.
seriously, like you were saying, not many people get to visit that many countries, and to have the ambition and drive to actually go out, see the world, and live your dreams is definitely like an achievement, and that's awesome. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm sure there are many more countries like that you want to visit. So far, you visited 18,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You can see all of
Okay.
those flags on my Instagram profile.
Yeah, I'll definitely include that in the show notes if people want to check it out. But let's go back. What drove you to actually have the passion to travel?
Okay. Yeah, I was always fascinated by, in India, the film industry is huge. There's Bollywood. And have you ever seen a Bollywood movie?
I have not.
Okay, there are of course a lot of songs and dances and so on, and action and so on. But they always show that the rich people always live in some foreign country. Like back in the 90s when I was growing up, they always showed that the people who have made it big in their life, they live somewhere in the Western countries, uh,
Mm.
either in the US, the UK, or somewhere in Europe. And so we always used to look up to them, look up to such people. And always the songs used to be shot in these beautiful locations in Switzerland and so on. And we were just fascinated. We were always fascinating about it. How can we go there? It was a dream. So it's whenever I saw the songs on the screen, it was like, is it real? Is it for real? Or is it a painting? It was so beautiful. Europe is so beautiful. And I don't know if you have ever been to India. I mean, no disrespect to my own country, but we have a lot of population. So that's why, like, not all the places are clean. There are some very beautiful places, like the Himalayas and so on. But we don't have jobs over there for people like us, for technical people. So we have to live in corporate jungles. I would call them as corporate forests. So huge skyscraper buildings and so on, and huge traffic. This is what I had to always go through when I was in India, and I was really frustrated after a few years. Like it almost took me 1 hour to reach my office every day on a motorbike. And if I had to travel by car, it would be 1.5 hours. And this is just for traveling 10 kilometers. Can you imagine that? So, so it was kind of frustration and all these dreams, and yeah, it culminated into all this. Yeah. So,
Well, that's yeah, I could definitely relate. I definitely think that the media plays a huge
yeah.
part in triggering different motivations, or it makes us see that things can be possible, or things that are out there that we never even knew
Yeah.
existed. So, yeah, do you think that it's interesting that Bollywood portrays Western sort of environments? It doesn't actually take place in India where like the films are made and like the actors are from. So, do you think that's problematic at all? Do you wish that there was more Bollywood films made in India?
Yeah, now they are being made in India. Now the Indian industry, I mean the Bollywood, has changed. People don't really like seeing these people that they can't relate to. They are more about real people with real problems. So
Yeah.
we had this concept of heroes and heroines, like only good looking people were cast in movies. But now the times are changing slowly. It's about the story. So it's not always about how good looking you are. It's just about how good the story fits your character. Uh, it doesn't mean that you have to look very good for a movie. So the story has come into the main limelight rather than the actual actors now. So times are changing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. I feel like the same shift is happening in Hollywood bringing more diversity, more just all around racial and gender to the main screen. And I think that's so important because growing up, I'm sure you could relate that you didn't see many people that represented who you were. And like we were just saying, if you don't see that represented, you don't necessarily see different kind of lifestyles as something that's possible for you.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely. It's great that change is happening, but definitely change still needs to happen. We have a lot of ways to improve on.
Yeah.
But speaking of the film industry, you kind of are involved with it now, right?
But
In like a little part, but still. Do you want to talk about your experience?
I just did it recently, so it's yeah, and I did it only because I was getting this opportunity to travel to Croatia, and this happened by a fluke. I actually was taking some salsa classes and some bachata classes here in Budapest. I'm not a great dancer by any means, but I wanted to explore that part of mine. So I was just yeah, as far as I remember, I was at a bachata class somewhere, and I was just dancing. And there was this lady who was a casting director on the show for Netflix Vikings, and she was there, and she saw me, and she just came up to me and she said that, would you like to play a part in one of the um, shows of Netflix? I was kind of shocked because
Because what a thing to be approached with.
exactly.
Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, and out of everyone there, she came to me. I was very surprised. Um, why me? And that too for Vikings, because let's face it, I'm just a brown man, and Vikings are for Norwegians, as I know. What would I do in that? So that's what I was thinking, and that's the first thought that came to my mind. The second thought was like, I cannot act. I have never taken acting classes or anything like that, so I have no experience acting. And also, if you are considering me for any dance sequence, I'm just a beginner. You see that this is just a beginner class. That too, this is the first or the second. So I'm pretty surprised. Like, why did you come to me with this kind of offer? Then she said that, okay, we will discuss about that later, but first you say yes or no. I said, okay. Okay, let's give it a try. Then she said that, don't worry, you don't have to act or do anything like that, but you might be. She said that I see that you have a good body, so you can be cast in some of the warrior scenes or something like that, where you might be given some swords and something like that, and you have to just play a part in some kind of a war or some small dance sequence and so on. And the best part of it is that then she revealed the best part. The best part of it that you have to travel to Croatia in an all expenses paid trip, and you will be put up in some kind of five-star hotel, and all the meals are on us and everything. So that sold me the idea.
It would sell me the idea too. I'd be like, yes, sign me up,
Yeah.
please.
So yeah, it kind of fell into my lap without any any real effort.
Right. Like it wasn't like you ever dreamed of being an
Yeah.
actor. Is that something you now consider, or is this is just a way to travel?
Just a way to travel. I don't consider myself an actor, and the thing is that, like I said, in Bollywood, we always think that only good-looking people can be actors, and I don't consider myself as good-looking, so I never thought that I could be an actor or something like that.
Well, first of all, that is not true. And also like how has your experience being on set now, like, has your perception of the film industry changed? Have you learned anything being behind the scenes working there?
Yeah, I learned about the struggle that they go through. It's so difficult. Like, even for shooting a, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minute sequence, they take around 12 hours. So the the number of minutes is actually directly proportional to the number of hours that they put in. So, for example, if it is a 12-minute scene, they would at least put in 12 hours of effort.
Mm. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So they take the same shot from, and what I understood that they take for each scene, they take at least 5 retakes, and then they take it from multiple camera angles. They have drone shots, and yeah, so many things.
So meanwhile, are you just doing the same thing over and over?
Yes, you have to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. Sometimes it gets boring. Sometimes yeah, it's freezing cold and you're out there. Like, for example, today it was snowing here in Budapest, and we were just standing out in the cold. uh, the other time, when I was in Croatia, there's this Adriatic Sea, and I was just shooting near the shores of the Adriatic Sea at 3 a.m. in the morning, in the
Oh my
morning,
gosh.
and I was wearing Roman clothes, like Romans used to wear. Just a
Mhm.
thin sheet of clothing with nothing underneath. So they did not even let us put on underwear.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So no thermals, no underwear, nothing. So it was so, so cold, and especially with the sea breeze coming in. So it's difficult job. Yeah.
But worth it considering it's an all expense
Yeah.
paid trip. You could stay in five-star hotels, eat good food.
Yeah.
I mean, worth it to me.
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
So, back to your travels, what has been the most memorable country or place that you've been
Hmm.
in that really just has a special place in your heart?
Okay. The country which I have traveled to most is Austria. I somehow keep going back there again and again. I have been to multiple cities in Austria, like Innsbruck, Vienna, um, Salzburg. But there is a very special town in my mind. In my mind right now, it's not a town. It's actually a very small village. It's called Werfen, and it has a natural ice cave. Google, yeah,
Wow.
if you Google it, natural ice caves in Europe, you would, I think that would be the first result that would pop up on your screen. So the temperature there is, I think, as far as I remember, it never goes above -1. So the ice caves are always maintained, and it has been for several thousands of years. So when I landed there, I was like, yeah, it was like a fairy tale. Like everything was looking like a painting, and I found it even more beautiful than Switzerland. Uh,
Wow, really?
yeah, I mean, Switzerland is, of course, very beautiful, and it's very
Yeah.
touristy, and everyone knows about it. But it's kind of overhyped.
Mm.
Because everyone travels there. But the peace
Okay.
that I attained here, because there was no one, there was absolutely no one. I was traveling with a
Mm.
friend of mine, and when we just stepped out of the train onto the platform, we found no one, literally no one. And we saw some cows on the street, just like we do in India. The cows had very cute little bells around their necks,
Yeah.
and they were just going around. It was kind of a farming land, I guess. Oh,
Mm.
yeah, it is very special. Yeah, something that I've never seen before. Yeah, it was like a painting, yeah, real life painting that I saw. I actually have a picture of it on my Instagram, but it's kind of oversaturated. I will send it to you. It's there on my Instagram, but I think if you search for it, you won't find it. But I will send it to you because you follow me on Instagram, so you'll be able to see that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay. Austria is definitely on my bucket list. I have been to Switzerland and I think so far it's like the most beautiful country I've been to, but yeah, definitely there's so many tourists. I didn't find that it inhibited the experience because I feel like it's more tasteful tourism. It's not like a whole bunch of like, groups or like a cruise sort of situation, that kind of touristy. But yeah, there is like a lot of infrastructure obviously around the whole country. So I get what you mean that maybe somewhere like Austria, you have a more intimate experience and that kind of makes it more special if it's, something you have to yourself.
yeah, exactly.
So you've been in Europe for how long again?
Now almost 8 months, and previously I was there for 3 months. So yeah, you can say that almost a year in total.
Okay, and so living in Europe now, what do you find were the biggest cultural differences or maybe adjustments that you had to make going from India to Europe?
Ah, okay. I am kind of the most un-Indian person that you would find. That's what my colleagues say. They don't see that Indianness in me. They are surprised, even with my accent and everything, because I don't know. Most of the people.
I can relate. My boss called me like a banana because I'm yellow on the outside, but I'm white on the inside. And I find that so funny because yeah,
Yeah,
I just never heard that kind of comparison before.
yeah, that's really funny to know. So, are you like half Chinese and half American, or where are you from?
I I'm 100% Chinese. I grew up completely in the US though.
Ah, okay, okay. So I was lucky. I was just double cross. I was crossing my fingers. I just wanted to know your nationality. I was thinking whether you're from China or from some other country, but I got it right somehow.
Good job.
Yeah. Sometimes people get offended if you don't say the correct nationality. Not me though, but some people get offended.
I'm unfazed. I get asked so many times, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you were born and brought up in the US then.
Yeah, I'm born in China, moved adopted here when I was 1.
Ah, okay, okay, nice.
But yeah, so did you find it difficult to adjust at all? Or did you find that because maybe you're so un-Indian, like it was pretty like normal for you to live in
It
Europe?
was normal, only different. Not difference. It's the only difficulty that I face day in and day out is that in India I could afford. It's not good to say this, but yeah, in India everyone has a servant. So we don't call them servant, but we call them helpers. Uh,
Mm, okay.
Everyone could afford, like everyone who is from the working class or middle class, upper middle class person can afford such services. And
So like a
um,
maid
uh,
or
yeah,
housekeeper?
yeah, kind of. So, like, they can offer services which are very cheap, and you can call them every day. So, of course, not every day. They do have holidays on Sundays and sometimes on weekdays as well. Sundays mandatorily, of course. Otherwise, it would be kind of violating the human rights. But yeah. So those things. So at least you have one less thing to worry about. That is keeping the house clean
Mm.
or cooking for yourself. I don't have a problem cooking for myself because I'm quite fond of cooking. If you have seen my Instagram, if you see the food and stuff like that, I'm a big foodie and I like cooking. And there are a lot of stuff that have been cooked by me and that are there on my Instagram page. So I like cooking, so that's not a problem. The challenge, though, is to find the right ingredients sometimes because I've stayed in India for such a long time, I do try to put most of the Indian ingredients in everything, and I do find them here. But I kind of feel sometimes lazy because the Indian shops, are not really close to my place. I have to travel somewhere, maybe 20 kilometers apart. So that's one challenge. Also, the food delivery is so competitive in India that you have so many restaurants all around the place, and you have so many different food apps. And the services literally 24/7. You can find food 24 hours round the clock. Here in Europe, that is not the case. But to be honest, Budapest is much better compared to the other Western countries because in terms of services, because here the shops and the supermarkets, everything is open on Saturdays, on Sundays, so you don't really have that big of a problem. Whereas I could say this because I have lived in two countries. I have lived in Germany as well for an extended period, three months. So I think I'm qualified enough to talk about it. So in Germany, especially in Stuttgart, you will find that on a Saturday after 4 p.m., all the supermarkets get closed. and if you don't buy your groceries or whatever you need for your culinary skills, then you end up going to a restaurant in on Sundays because you don't have anything to cook. So that would be a huge problem. But here you don't have that problem, thankfully. So, yeah, it's open every day, and it's open till most of the supermarkets are open till 8, and there are some supermarkets which are even open 24/7, and thankfully I have one right next to my house, so that's all the problem. Yeah, but the biggest cultural difference is not having a maid servant and such things, so you have to clean the house by yourself. You have to be more self-dependent, I would say, or more in.
Yeah. Wow, I was not expecting that answer. I had no idea that that was so common in Indian households. So, hmm. Well, okay, then what would you say is the best parts about now living in Europe?
Best part is, of course, the work culture, because the work-life balance is taken really seriously here. And I could totally vouch for that. Everything is well thought through, I would say, rather than the front loading is more rather than the um, what should I say? Like they try to estimate things much earlier. They try to yeah, do things in a much better way so that you don't have to rush through it or push through it. That's the major difference.
Yeah, I definitely detected that when I was in Europe. I never worked there, but I definitely feel a greater sense of just living life and appreciating your time away not from work and like hustling constantly. So I definitely appreciated that as well. Um, and just some final questions. Do you have any advice for someone traveling to Hungary?
Hmm. Someone traveling to Hungary. Okay, I would say that first of all, if you're traveling for a longer time, let's say maybe 15 days and more, you should definitely go for the public transport pass, which is so there is an app called Budapest Go. So if you're coming to Budapest, you should definitely download the app, and first thing you should do is like buy a pass, buy a 15-day pass or a 30-day pass based on how long your stay is going to be. That is the cheapest way to travel, and believe me, in Europe, Budapest has one of the best public transport networks that I've ever seen. Yeah,
Wow.
so there is nowhere that you won't like wherever you stay in Budapest, you don't have to walk on foot for more than like 500 or 700 meters. There is always a means of transport. So I think you don't even need to walk for 1 kilometer to reach. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's so convenient. So we have so many different modes of transport here. We have buses, we have trams, we have electric buses, we have ferries. Because it's actually three cities. I don't know if you know about Budapest. It was created from three different cities: Buda, Obuda, and Pest. So these three cities were combined together to form one city. And
Hmm.
between Buda and Pest, there is this huge river that runs between the cities. It's called Danube or Duna in Hungarian. And there are seven bridges across this river, and which divides the Buda part and the Pest part. So Budapest is the medieval town, which you would like to visit as a tourist because it's like it is full of castles and palaces and so on. And on the other side, Pest, which is like where I live, it is more of a industrial place where a lot there are a lot of industries, and there are a lot of companies, corporate stuff, and also there are a lot of residential complexes like the one that I live in. So yeah, that's what defines the
Hmm.
city. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. I love that fun fact. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate you coming on and even like suggesting that you wanted to be a guest on my podcast. Um, I appreciate all your insight and sharing your experiences in India and living in Europe. But thank you so much for your time. I'll leave your Instagram handle in the show notes, and Yeah, I wish you a really great rest of your day.
And you too. Bye bye. And let's be. Bye bye.